Hi, I'm Nils Schneider. Welcome to KartTV. Today I'm going to show you how I like to do my mac and cheese. Alright, so first things first, we're going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. Alright, now that we've got our oven to 400 degrees, we want to bring a heavy bottom pot full of water up to a boil. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to gently season it with a little bit of salt. You always want to season your pasta water. Alright, so next we're going to add our pasta to our boiling water. Today I'm just using a classic restaurant strainer. At home you can just put it right into the pot. Doesn't really matter, you can use a colander after. So we're just going to add a nice amount for probably about a portion here, 2 portions, and we'll let that cook through, probably about 5-6 minutes. And we're going to start working on our crumb. So to start, we're going to mince the bacon. So what we want to do is we just want to do a nice little rough chop, and we're going to break this down into fine pieces, but nothing too specific. Eventually this will actually just kind of get broken down into small little bits here. All right, so now that we've done a rough mince of our bacon, we're just gonna add it straight to a pan here. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, it doesn't need to be pretty. All right, so now that our minced bacon is probably about 3/4 of the way of where we want it, we're gonna actually pull it because we don't wanna overcook it and it's gonna go right back into the oven anyways. So again, we're gonna just finish the cooking in the oven. So we're gonna return our pan onto the burner with the fat and bring it back up to heat. While that's heating up, we're gonna crush a clove of garlic. We're just gonna give it a very rough mince. So we have our pan nice and hot. We've got our remaining bacon fat in the pan. We're gonna just add our clove of roughly chopped garlic, and we're just going to saute the garlic for a few seconds here, just until it releases those oils. And while we're doing this, we want to have the heat pretty low. All right, so now that we've gently sauteed our garlic, we're going to add a tiny pinch of dried thyme. Again, a little goes a long way, so we don't want to go too crazy on this. And then we're just going to let that sweat out for about 2 seconds here. And then lastly, we're just going to add our panko breadcrumbs. So essentially we're just making an infused breadcrumb with lots of aromatics, lots of flavor from the bacon fat, the thyme, and the garlic. So now that we've added our breadcrumbs, we're just going to give this a quick little mix. We don't want to go too crazy, we don't want to burn them, nor do we really want to toast them too hard, as we're going to finish these in the oven, as I said before. That's probably about done right there. So now that you've had your breadcrumbs mixed together, we're just going to put them to the side, and we'll start working on our bechamel. Today we're going to just cut off a nice chunk of butter, probably about a tablespoon, to start our roux, and we just want a gentle heat on that to start. So now that we've sweated our butter off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add probably about a tablespoon and a half of flour. All purpose is fine, just your everyday kind of flour. So it's really important with your roux to give it a thorough cook out. If you don't cook the roux out hard enough, what will end up happening is it will just get a really kind of raw flour taste to the sauce. And that's not what we're going for here. We're going to start by adding our milk. So we just want to add a little bit at a time, slowly and surely, okay? And making sure that we're mixing as we go. Now I'm adding probably about a 1/2 cup to a cup. And then what we want to do is we really just want to work out all of these clumps. And if you need to, just add a little bit more and it will smooth out as we go. So now that we've cooked our roux out and it's getting to a nice consistency with the milk, we want to add in our cream. So this is just a heavy whipping cream, probably about a 1/2 cup here. And with the cream itself, we do want to make sure that we're cooking it out as well. Otherwise you can get kind of a raw dairy flavor to the sauce. So just make sure that you're really giving it a good thorough cook. So now that we've added our cream, we're gonna just give it a nice thorough whisk, work out all those clumps that could possibly still be there. And then we're gonna add our cheeses. Today I've got some old cheddar, some aged white cheddar, and then Gruyere, which is just your kind of standard Swiss cheese. You can also work with Emmenthal. So we're just gonna add a nice Little handful of each. And again, this is not a traditional derivative sauce. This is a mixture of two. So we've killed the heat, we've added our cheeses into the mix. So the reason why this sauce is so thick is because I'm actually going to finish cooking the pasta within it. So that said, I'm going to be adding a little bit of the pasta water to the Mornay itself. So we're just going to bring that back up to heat. Make sure that we really melt that cheese thoroughly. If you want more of that kind of craft dinner vibe, we can just add a little bit more of the cheddar. See if we can get a little bit more orange. All right, so our sauce is done. Our pasta's cooked, almost there. We want to cook our pasta just a little bit before al dente because we're going to finish the cook in the oven. So we're going to add our pasta straight to the sauce and we're going to fold it right back in. Fold the sauce around. Now it's quite thick, right? So what I like to do is this is where I add just a tiny, tiny bit of pasta water. Just about an ounce of pasta water. Now what that does is it kind of acts as a secondary roux. It just allows everything to bind together, thin it out a little bit, and then as it's going into the oven, it'll bring itself back up to a nice thicker consistency. I'm gonna start with a small little cast iron here. So we're just gonna add one portion here. Again, this recipe is more of a side dish, so probably serves about 2 to 3 people. Okay, so now that we have our pasta, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our breadcrumbs and the bacon that we sweat off earlier, and we're just gonna mix those together. Now with the rough chopped bacon and the breadcrumbs, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna gently coat the top of this pan here. Thanks for tuning into KartTV. I'm Nils Schneider, and this is my take on a mac and cheese.